Kia ora, good morning. So I've actually been up for quite a while, but I've been debating whether to post the stream or not. I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy about it at all. I'm not happy at all. But I don't have a choice about what's happening because it's happening for a reason. And my dad came to me, my actual dad, and he was guiding me. So if my dad's saying this has to be done, then I got to listen because it's my dad. So I had a dream that my dad came to me in a car park in a supermarket and asked me to help my brother clean out his car. And it was full of trash. It was, it's not my brother at all, but it was full of trash, like junk food wrappers, and like it was just horrendous. And my dad said, "Can you help him clean out the car?" And when I was like grabbing the handfuls of like squashed takeaway packets and junk food wrappers, you know, trash bags, it was just horrendous. My brother said to me, um, "Don't clear out the stuff from the glove box because that's where I put the money that I've been putting aside for my children." And thinking, okay, and then looking and seeing that he had, like, in some of those wrappers and all of that, the squashed, um, you know, when you go to McDonald's and all that, and you get the drinks and the containers with the lids and the straws, there was a lot of those, and he had money, like American dollar bills for some reason. We're New Zealanders, and he's in New Zealand, so I don't know why American. Well, I do know. I'm trying to pretend like I don't know, and I do know, and I'm pissed off, but I can't stop it, so here we go. So I thought it was sweet that he had like a little stash put aside for when he had children. He's already got kids, he's got grandkids, but anyway, he was saving it for when he had children. And so I was taking a big handful of rubbish that I was carrying um, to the rubbish bin outside this really big, like, shopping complex, and it was all sparkly. Like, it was all, and it's probably because of what I've been reposting, but it was all like sparkly, like rhinestones, kind of sparkly. The outside of it was, and there were these steps going up to it. And when I went to put the trash in the bin, there, standing there, was someone from my past. And he's been popping up a lot, and I'm not happy about it. But it's happening for a reason. So he said to me, "Are you hungry?" And I said, "Yeah, I am actually." And he goes, "You want to get something to eat?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Where do you want to go?" And I said, "There's a Burger King in there. I think there's a Burger King in there." And he goes, "Well, let's go to Burger King." So we went in, and then in order to get to Burger King, we had to go up an elevator. And while we were in the elevator, he was telling me about his divorce. And the woman he was divorcing was in the elevator with us, and she was saying, "I'm going to get millions. I'm going to get millions from this." And she was all like, nasty. I don't even know if this friend is married or not. I don't know what any of this is about. With him, I mean, because we haven't spoken in so long. But the elevator doors opened, and she went to get out. Well, we got out of the elevator, and she was still in the elevator, but she got stuck in the elevator, and it was like, it's like from her torso to her head was inside the elevator, and from her waist to her feet was outside the elevator, and the elevator was like shooting up real fast, and then it just plummeted, and then shot up real fast, and then just plummeted, and chopped her in half. There was no blood or guts or anything, but we didn't even care. We didn't even care. We were hungry and we wanted food. So we went into when you go into a mall where all the shops are kind of on the outside, and the inside is like, where you all walk, like I don't know what you call it, like the main bit where everybody walks, like the thoroughfare of the mall. We were walking to go to Burger King, and these AI robots that looked almost identical to my ex was trying to tell us where to go. You'll need to go into this shop first, and then you'll have to do this, and you'll have to do that. And we were just like, no, we're just gonna go to Burger King. And the robot was like, okay, that's fine, that's cool, but when you're done, you should go here, and you should do this, and you should go to this shop. And we were like, no, we're just getting Burger King, and then we're heading out. And that's exactly what we did. We were trying to find the Burger King because the layout was really confusing. And then we saw the Burger King because we saw like the Golden Crown, and we were like, and we started heading towards the Golden Crown. And he took my hand, and I think I kind of wanted to like smack him, but I didn't. And he said, "Are you ready?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm starving." And then I woke up. So I'm not happy about it. But basically, like, obviously the car in the car park, and my dad calling me to help clean out the car in a supermarket shopping car park means being directed to a particular option. Like, yes, you have those options there. Yes, you can go in that direction and follow those options, but I need you to focus on this one, because out of the trash you're going to find treasure. That going through the trash, sifting through all the trash, and dealing with something I don't want to look at because I don't want to have anything to do with my brother. And this person was someone that I loved like a brother, like a best friend. My brother, in real life, he was like the one man above all others that I could trust. And he betrayed me in the highest way. And so I think my brother was representing, stuff. And my dad saying, go through the trash because there's treasure to be found. Like, I know you don't want to do this, but you got to clear this out. This has to be done. This has to be looked at, because something rewarding, I'm going to get rewarded for it. Whether it's emotionally, whatever, I don't know. So my dad was saying, do it. Like, clean out the car and do it. Like, because obviously cars represent your journey, and how you take your journey. When it comes to cars, you're in complete control of how you drive and where you drive. And so my dad was saying, you need to look at this and you need to clear it all out, and all the trash will be dumped and you'll be left with treasure. And then, of course, going, putting everything in the trash, which I did. So, like, looking at it, clearing it all out, and dumping it. Much, much like the dream I had where I was in the boat with my teacher and we pulled the plug, and I was scared of all the ocean animals and that going into the water, but it only drained all the sludge and yuck. It's the same thing. Um, but because we were parked in like a car park, and it was an empty car park too for a busy shopping mall, shopping complex area, it means needing to sit in isolation and contemplation to clear out the clutter and remove the trash in order to see the treasure, which is what I did because I woke up sometime around just after 1. I've been awake for a while. I always know when I get woken up it's because I need to see something or say something. And yeah, going into the mall, putting the trash in with him being there, like, after I put the trash in the bin, going there, doing it, and it reconnecting me with my past, or it resulting in me reconnecting with my past, or having to look at a reconnection from the past, and going into this big sparkly rhinestone mall. um, how do I explain it? I'm trying to think how to explain it. Being enticed by, I'm trying to think how to explain it. God, this is why it took me so long to decide whether to post it or not. Being lured in, being enticed by something that looks good on the outside but is also offering rewards on the inside. So it would mean that we've both become different people since we were separated. We've both changed in a way that there wouldn't be any. We've both worked on ourselves in a way that becomes enticing and attractive to each other, but by which I mean um, not necessarily, not like in a Shrek rules, like in a we've both become the sort of people that would make it so that there would be no clashes anymore, because we used to clash a lot because I was always giving him affection and it would always make him angry. He wasn't a fan of affection. And I just adored him. I loved everything about him. We were like an old married couple. We were just like, we were like an old married couple. We were, that comfy pair of slippers. We would meet up, like every morning we would talk before he went to work, and then after he finished work, and then we'd talk right into the night until he went to sleep. And I would shop for him online when he needed stuff. I'd surf the web and shop for him, and pick out outfits for him for job interviews, and like give him pep talks before job interviews and after job interviews and stuff. And we were like, that's how comfortable we were with each other. He's the only man I've ever met who didn't bat an eyelid when it came to being a high priestess. He used to call me his high priestess and his Celtic girl. Even though we were best friends. I'd sit and talk to him while he was having his hair cut. While he was picking up laundry and stuff. Like, that's who we were. And I seriously want to punch him in his face. Because it's like, how could you do that, you idiot? But that's the trash part that my dad's talking about. Just go there. Just do it. Look at what you don't want to look at, because there's treasure to be found. I remember one time when he was at work, there was a shooting, and I've never been so scared in all my life. I was just terrified for him. I was so scared. And how I see that he showed me ways that he loved me without ever admitting that he loved me, as his best friend, as his, his confidant in that. Because when it hit the news that there was a school shooting at his work, and I'm even now when I think about it, my heart pounding so much, thinking, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I was the first person he called. It was me he called. He said, did you hear about what happened in the news? Like he told me about. Luckily, it was on the other side of where he was. But, yeah, I was the first person he called. Every time he went for a job interview, he'd beat himself up when he didn't get the job and that, and I'd tell him why he didn't get it. I'd tell him about all the jobs he was going to get. So that was the mall part. Like, looking at all the good things. The AI robot thing that looked like my ex. Outside sources trying to control where him and I go next. Where, we can either reconnect and fix everything, or we can play by the rules, we can do as we're told, we can do what is being controlled for us to do. We can either play by the rules or do it our way. If we do it our way, we get crowned and nourished. Often when you dream of like crowns, like a king's crown or a queen's crown, it means you're connecting on like a telepathic level, and him and I always did connect like that. Him and I always connected like that. How we originally met was on Yahoo, when I was trying to brush up on my, this is what the dream means. Going through the trash and finding the treasure, and looking at all the options, looking at all the ways him and I connected. We originally met because I was wanting to brush up on my dream interpretation skills, which is now what this is, right? The dream weaving alchemist. Alpha to Omega. And I used to interpret people's dreams, that, people on the Yahoo messaging board, under like the esoterical, I can't remember what section it was under, but people would say, oh, I had a dream about this, this and this, I wonder what it means. And I would say, it means this, 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 this and this. And I did it with him, and I'll never forget the dream as well, because he dreamt that he was doing like stretching yoga exercises naked in front of a window where all the curtains were blowing and the wind was blowing and the sun was shining, and it was almost like Japanese style. That's how I saw it when I was reading it in my head, almost like he was like in Japan or something, wearing like billowy sort of clothes, but in the dream he was naked, standing in front of this big window, and it was just this gentle breeze, and he wanted to know what it meant. And his name was Vampire something, and I just remember thinking, he's full of shit. Like, he's got this name like Dark Vampire Lord, or it was something like that. But he's having these dreams about connecting with nature and connecting with his higher self, and wanting to just let it all hang out, not wanting to hide the fact that he's deeply connected to his ancestors and his spiritual side, and wanting to have a connection to God and know his higher self. So wearing a mask, letting people see one side of him that's all like putting up barriers, dark, scary, keep away from me, bah, don't love me, don't trust me, I'm someone who's like dark and scary, woo, woo, woo. But his dreams were saying something completely different. Like, why can't I just understand myself? Why can't I be around people that just understand me? Why can't I just like throw caution to the wind and just let it all hang out and just be me? And I, I saw him for who he really was. And it didn't matter. Oh, it didn't matter how many walls he put up, how many barriers he put up. I just chipped away at it and loved him anyway. Loved him for who he really was, because I knew his real self. And he liked what I'd said, and he said, can I email you? And so from then on, I was his dream interpreter. Every time he had a dream, I was the first person he came to, and I would interpret his dreams. I've known him 14 years. I met him towards the end of 2012. I've known him longer than I've known my soon-to-be ex-husband, who is the reason why we no longer talk, which is why he was the robot, why the AI robot looked like my ex, soon-to-be ex, Martin, because he's the reason why I lost my best friend in the whole world. He was the one that I thought when the test came, he'd be the one that would have my back, and he didn't. But the AI robot looking like my ex and trying to tell us what to do and where to go, and we were like, no. It's like not playing by the rules anymore, not listening to other people saying, oh, shut up, not listening to other, not being a slave to being dictated to anymore. So I don't know whether he's not been allowed to communicate because of legal reasons or contracts, or because of this lawsuit or something, but not listening anymore, not being dictated to, not letting anybody tell us that we can't talk anymore. And that when he took my hand, it was kind of like if we do this, there's rewards at the end. We get, we get crowned. We're meeting, Happy Dippies, when they talk about chakras and the crown chakra, being crowned. The crown of your head is, from a biometric standpoint, is the most important part of your body, because it's what connects you to your loved ones, your ancestors, the deceased. And oh my God, I've just realised as well, he's got a Māori tattoo. He's branded. I always said he was branded for me. He's branded. He's got a Māori tattoo. He's not Polynesian. He's in America, but he's on his left shoulder. He's got the kawhaiwhai design, which I thought was just the coolest thing ever. He was the one that said, when I turned 60 I wouldn't mind to get a moko on my chin, and he was like, do it, that'd be so cool. He was the one that talked me into dyeing my hair black as well. Do it, it'll be so cool. He's like, especially with your blue eyes. So, kind of reminds me of my Alpha to Omega dream. Landing at the foot of the head of the eagle with the buffalo. So anyway, so the elevator, obviously we were going up, which means ascending. We were ascending together, rising together. And this divorce, and it costing someone thinking they were going to get millions from this divorce. A divorce doesn't necessarily mean a divorce, but it means like an uncoupling, like detaching from something that was toxic, which is why she was chopped in half, why it was rising really fast and then slammed to the ground and chopped her in half, detaching from something toxic that was for the purpose of trying to control him and drain him of everything and not getting what she wanted out of it. Whatever it was she was wanting out of that situation, she wasn't going to get it, because there was a complete detachment. And the fact it was the elevator that detached her means God putting a stop to it. God being the one to cause the separation. And then walking across the foyer, completely disregarding, because everybody else was following what these AI robots were telling them to do. But everyone was like walking around in circles like sheep, going exactly to where they were being told to go first, even though that they might have wanted to go to Burger King. They were listening and going to all the other shops first in a circle before, so that, go to all the other shops first that end at Burger King. But him and I were just like, no. And we just walked across. Instead of going around the circle, we walked across, like we cut straight across and completely disregarded what the robot was saying, and went into Burger King. And because when you have a dream about food, it's food for thought. It's he held my hand and we walked in, and it was like a nourishing experience, an experience that through contemplation and feeding ourselves fresh ideas, fresh food, like good food, it being rewarding. through him and I, the crown, through him and I connecting through the crown. So in dreams, telepathy, mind melding, that sort of thing. It being a rewarding, nourishing experience and helping us break away from the reason why we detached in the first place. If we decide to walk into the mall together, if we decide to do it, if we decide to reconnect this time around, because we're completely different people, we're exactly who the other needs this time around, without any outside interference or influence, it being a rewarding experience. And he's the one that I had always said. He's the one I forgave. Because he's the one that I knew was innocent. He was led to believe things about me that he should have known better. He knew me better than even my husband and ex-husband. Like on an emotional, spiritual level, he knew me the best. Which is why I thought that when the Judas trial came, he'd be the one to have my back. But the dream's saying we're not the same people. We've grown. Which is why it was like a big high-rise style mall that was all sparkly, like covered in, it wasn't rhinestones, it was like, it was like rhinestones, but it was like diamonds. It actually kind of was like, in London, like that, the building they call the Acorn? Oh, pineal gland. Connecting through the crown, okay, got it. But it been covered in diamonds. So we must have dreamt about each other. At the same time, we must have had a dream about each other. We must have been dreaming at the same time. I'm 5 hours ahead of him. So we must have been dreaming at the same time. I only forget when his shoes got wet and he needed to dry his shoes. And he's like, I don't know what I'm going to do, blah, blah, blah. And I said, just turn the oven on, put a towel down, put the shoes on the towel on top of the thing and just dry your shoes that way. And he did. Oh, of all the people I don't want back in my life, he's the one I don't want back in my life the most. Because he's the one who hurt me the most when he walked away. I'll never, ever, ever, ever get over the pain of that betrayal. And I'm trying to, I really am trying to. See, like with members of my family, my reasons for not wanting to have contact with them again are valid. And for my own safety and protection and mental health. But with him, it's because I don't understand what the hell bloody happened. Like, it wasn't supposed to go that way. We were supposed to end up working together. We were supposed to end up saving children together. We were supposed to, he knew me better than anyone. I trusted him. He was the only man at that point that I trusted more than even like my own exes and members of my own family. But I think my dad and God are saying he's not that person anymore. And you're not the same person either. So you're not going to rub each other the wrong way anymore. I think with me it was just I wanted him to love me, and I knew he did, but he never said it, and not like because I was with Martin at the time. I just wanted him to admit that he cared about our relationship, but his love language, I think, was that he was turning up every day, and he was trusting me with the things that mattered, but I was so manipulated and being abused by the ex-husband and husband in my life that I ran to him for solace. He was my safe space. And I thought I'd be safe with him and I wasn't. But then also realising that it wasn't his fault. He believed what he was told. Because maybe deep down he was looking for a reason not to be attached. I'll never forget, he sent me, I've still got his spoon that he sent me, I've still got it. And he sent me a was it a football jersey? And it never turned up. And then my husband having an absolute spaz about it. One of the things I rescued from the dungeon was some letters from my husband threatening to have him killed. Wanting me to give up where he lived in that because he was going to send some Latin king round to have him killed. Why am I always having friendships with men where I end up having to protect them from being harmed? I end up being the guardian to men. Powerful men too. Anyway, so, yeah. Ugh. But it is what it is, and whatever happens is, it's like the options there, we can either take it or not. So we'll just see what happens. Interesting dream though. Bloody dad. Have you thought of this option over here? Come over to this car. Come and clean this car out. You'll find treasure in that trash. He owes me a steak. I've never forgotten. I won a bet and he owes me a steak dinner. There's no way I'd ever be allowed into America now. Not with Trump in charge. So, unless he's prepared to move to Switzerland. Oh, but then, yeah, we could work together. That's the thing. We could go back to the original plan and he could have that whole department. It would, and then we could go back to when I used to do his readings and I used to say, you're going to be involved in something where people are just going to love you because you're going to, bring jobs to the region and go back to the original dream. Go back to the original plan. So, yeah, unless he's prepared to move to Switzerland, I can't see how it's possible because there's no way in how Trump's going to let me get into America, and the way America's going at the moment, there's no way in hell I'd want to go to America. So I have my heart set on Switzerland. Switzerland makes my heart happy. It brings me just so much peace and joy knowing that's where I'm going. So he would have to give up everything and join me. Well, anyway, That's the dream. I'm just putting it out there. I'll speak to you later. Ka kite anō.